Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geek Spiel on Air. I am your host, Chris Walters, aka Tiny Rhino, and I'm joined with an amazing cast and guest this week. But I wanted to go ahead and start off with the usual. Geek Spiel is a PG-13 stream. We talk about everything, anything games, and we're here to bring an inclusive environment, and that's one of the things we talk about most is how do we make everyone feel comfortable joining us and talking about this wonderful hobby that we all love, which is gaming. So we've got, again, a couple of folks with us tonight. We are going to be talking about game maintenance and also I threw in there kind of a growing of your game collection as well, because I think that's kind of an interesting and important topic. I'm going to start with the people we like best, which is a singular person. That's Christian. Christian, you're our guest tonight. Say hello to the audience, the Twitch universe.
Hello, it's my name is Christian Kang. I run a YouTube channel called TakeYourChits. It's great to be on Critical Role today.
Yeah. The 40,000 viewers will be with us any moment now.
Yeah, I'm waiting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and Christian, I mean, that's your, name, as I've been told. But do I call you Christian, Chris, Mr. Chits? Like, what do we go with here?
I generally go by Sensei, but you can call me Christian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, teach us all of your ways, Sensei. Okay. Well, speaking of Sensei, I guess for me, Mr. Matt's kind of the Sensei of this channel. Matt, say hello to the crew.
Hello, and you like started out with a compliment because I was ready to kick you on something. So I'll just say hello to the folks, and we can move on past it.
Right. For once, I compliment you.
I know. Everybody should be writing this down. There's a score sheet.
My brownie points tally sheet, and that's how we start.
Yeah. I can wipe them away just as easily though. So
okay. Well, I expect that. And the beautiful melodious voice that is Gil, aka Dwarf Token. Gil, say hello.
Hello, everybody. Wow, my wife would be jealous to hear you talk to me like that. But yes.
Apparently, I'm giving everyone just the greatest.
Like, my ego needed that right now. I'm doing awesome. It's Sunday, and I don't have to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah, that is.
Holidays.
Yes, I was going to say, holidays are great, especially if you can recognize them. Gosh, okay, we're just going to jump in. So one of the things we wanted to start talking about today is growing your collection and maintaining your collection. And I would say that I think for me, the logical place to start is growing your collection. So you see by a couple of backgrounds on our screen, right, that, having a cool collection, automatically gives you, awesome brownie points, on the scale of not cool like me and super cool like Christian and Matt, be at the upper end. You don't want to be at the lower end, right? But what is your strategy as Christian pulls out a fidget spinner? What's your strategy for growing your collection? Do you start with games that are ones that you really want to have? Do you start with ones that fill a niche or a need with your gaming crew? Where's your start? And we'll start with Christian just because, again, we want to show him some love. So
Pressure is really high. So I think that when I first started collecting games and really getting into the hobby, which was actually not that long ago. I wouldn't say I've been gaming for, I know some people that have been gaming for like decades, and I'm a relative newcomer to the hobby. And when I first started, I was just buy whatever was cool, and everything that everyone was talking about, I just bought it all. And over time, I realized, hey, like I'm not actually playing any of these games, and a lot of these games, when I play them, I'm not actually enjoying them. Like they're not like the type of game that I really like. And so now when I play games, I think more about like, will this game work with the type of people that I game with? I actually play with a lot of beginners and a lot of people who aren't normally gamers. So I actually have a lot of like gateway or family weight games that they're not like my personal favorite games, but they're certainly games that I think do a great job of bringing people into the hobby and getting exposed to modern hobby board games. So that's like the first consideration that I'll make. And then I think about, okay, is this a game that I really want to play? just for myself. And then that's kind of like the second place that I go. But generally now I'm pretty content with where my collection's at, and I'm actually cutting a lot of games from my collection. So.
Okay. We'll hop back to that because I'm curious what strategy you use for cutting. I've never heard someone do that.
I think it's blasphemy, is what that
is. Speaking of blasphemy,
and that's the end of the podcast.
I mean,
yeah, right.
Subscribe his channel.
Yeah.
That's a great way to
Mass
get
exodus.
some followers for sure. Matt, speaking of blasphemy, why don't you tell us how do you grow your collection?
You know, it is a little bit like Christian's thoughts there. You know, all the games on the shelf and all the heavyweight Euros that I kind of enjoy the most and all that kind of stuff, they don't ever come off the shelves because it seems like almost all the situations that I have, I'll fall back into maybe the same 6 or 10 games, you know, because there's somebody new at the table and I want them to have a good experience. So I'm not going to throw Battlestar Galactica down. You know, so I've played Century Spice Road like 3 times in the last 2 days, and it's been a great experience for all. So, you know, you kind of walk before you run on some of those games. I will say that's where I really enjoy cons, because if I'm going to play with my family and my friends, that was awesome, Chris. You knocked your microphone. I like to play with my family and my friends, and we'll play the lighter stuff, or we'll play, you know, whatever they're in the mood for on a Saturday night game night. But people at cons have paid to fly there, and they are there to play. And Gil, I don't mind playing 6 hours of Lisboa with you, because those are the people that want to play those games. All right, so you know, you kind of need to be in the mood for that. And if I'm here at the house and I want to start Lisboa, I know the kids are going to need to do this. I know the dog is going to need taken out, and there's all that other kind of stuff going on around it. Whereas a convention, it's just you and 20,000 of your closest friends sitting down to play. So I don't know. I guess I really didn't answer it. I buy all the games.
Right. Well, Board Game Girl in chat has already mentioned that. Step 1, buy all the games.
Yeah.
Step 2, agreeing with you and Christian, it sounds like, with the buy games for the group. But then my favorite is step 3, be swallowed whole by the hobby, go to all the cons, never sleep, and enjoy the rabbit hole that you now live in. So, I mean, I think that sums it up perfectly for me, for sure. I'm just beginning the step 3 of that process. So
I don't think she ever sleeps, because she tweets like at 3 a.m. sometimes.
Seriously, she's like always just killing it on social media.
I'm always so jealous. Like, oh, look at me! I'm playing, and like I'm working.
Right, I'm not doing that. Gil, what's your strategy for growing your collection?
My strategy is nothing like Christian. It's all in, nothing out.
It's entirely the opposite.
I'm on the out of control phase of the hobby, I should say. I had promised myself that at the 300, every game in, one game would go out, and I mean, that's gonna happen sometime. I'm pushing that number up every time I hit the next 50, and I already
So there's like 75 games that are in limbo. They have not been sold, but you're not committed to keeping them even. Yeah.
I have attachment issues, so I can't let it go. I actually sold 2 games at the Virtual Market Origins, and that's a big step for me.
Oh my gosh! Really?
Yeah.
I
2 whole games.
Yeah.
Wow.
2 whole games. Never mind, I bought 24, but.
Exactly. We made that joke earlier. For every game we get rid of, or we don't play, we play new or something like that, we play a bunch of games.
Yeah.
Right. We buy games we've never played.
Here's
before.
the big problem I'm having. Like, I'm having to reread rules every time I need to play a game again, because I can't remember the rules for games anymore.
Yeah.
I normally don't remember the rules for games altogether, but it's getting worse. You know, we played even a game that I played like just 4 months ago. I couldn't remember the rules last night. So it's getting down the hill a little bit on that part. So I think that is kind of detrimental a little bit.
You know, I don't think I just don't read rule books at all. I mean, there's Rodney Smith or somebody's got a video out there. So, you know, I can spend 10 minutes watching Bebo on a family game and know how to play it.
Right. I do a little bit of both. I think it's important to have, you know, like the Rodney Smith videos, or, you know, got some baller videos, but I think in the same piece, you know, you have someone misses a rule. Like I don't know if you've seen Rodney's the playthrough of Role Player. And they fix it, right? They do an amazing job in editing, but there's a couple of rules, you know, that they miss once or twice. And so if I'm trying to watch a gameplay and gonna be like, oh, okay, here's how these roles are put into place, I need someone to, you know, I need that context, that physical piece. So I'm both. I don't know. I have back and forth. I guess that's a side note. The real note that I wanted to make here is I'm like Christian. I'm fairly, I wouldn't say new to the hobby, but new to the growing of my collection. So yes, I definitely do pick games that I think I'm going to play more often with friends. But I'm also starting to get into the spot where I think part of it's because of the stream. I think part of it is because I just want to, I think want to push myself to potentially developing and designing a game. But I want to play something with every different mechanic in every different combination. So I want to play the family games. I want to play, even though I hate them, the pressure luck games or Ameritrash games. I want to play the crunchy Euros. I want to play things that are worker placement to set collecting to all of the things, so that I get a chance to see, you know, not only what mechanics do I like to play, but also, you know, what mechanics work well together. You know, get some inspiration from these, you know, amazing games and amazing designers. And so I've got games on my shelf that, yeah, right now I might never play, or I might not play for a really long time, but I definitely want to have those that if the inspiration ever strikes, right, you know, the spark is there, that I can go ahead and just pull it off the shelf and play it with some folks. So I think that's for me.
Yeah, I think something that you're bringing up is something really that I feel like a lot of us who are really deep into the hobby we've kind of been, by default, a lot of times thrust into this role of like the board game guy or the board game girl or the expert, right, among our friend groups. And especially for those of us who are creating content, we're definitely in a more of like public setting, and we're seen by people as, oh, you like talk about board games online, so you're clearly like really like an expert, or you are really into it. And so because of that, I feel like part of the reason why my collection is as big as it is, I think it would be a lot smaller if it wasn't the case. But because there's this expectation for me to kind of be the guy when people come over, I'll introduce a board game, or I'll be the host of a board game night or whatever. Like, I kind of have this pressure to have a bunch of different games, right. So I'm always like ready for whatever situation or whatever type of person comes over. I'm like, oh, like this game will be perfect, or this game will be perfect.
Right.
Yeah, and yeah.
The ideas for your monologue came out of this question being asked it so many times by every board gamer there. Is that how you came up with that monologue that you do every time? Is that some of them are kind of brilliant. Like they did the 5 things I hate in games, and
like the just the videos that I do.
Yeah.
I went. So like towards the end of last year, I bought a crazy amount of games. Like every Cool Stuff Inc. Sale, I would just like buy everything, you know. And like every week there's a sale. It's like, okay, I'll buy that. And at some point I was just like, okay, there's just like I'm just getting box after box. I'm not playing any of these games, and I was like, man, I miss like playing Castles of Burgundy. You know, like that's like one of my favorite games. And like I remember. And it was one of the first games that I got as well. And I remember playing with my wife, and it was like one of the most, enjoyable experiences that I had gaming. And I was like, I haven't had that feeling in months, because I'm just, every time I play a game, I have to like sit down and learn the rules. And then we're learning a new game every time. And some of these games aren't even fun. So like, kind of stemming from that, I've sort of, I don't know, like, just adopted this mentality of like, I just want to play my games because that's what the games are there for. And it's kind of like a pendulum, right? I'm like kind of responding to the for those of us who are online all the time, there's just all this marketing and all this stuff like this is the new hot Kickstarter and stuff, and just inundated with that information all the time. So like for me, I'm just trying to be like an opposite voice in some ways to that. Not that I think there's anything wrong with enjoying Kickstarters and all the fun stuff that comes with the hobby, but yeah.
I will say, for building off of your point, for me, I collect games for a couple of reasons, for all the same ones we've been talking about, because I want to be the guy who has that, we want to play worker placement, but with a pirate theme. And, so there's all of those kind of built in there. But because my kids are so little, and because life comes at you really fast, and we're all doing 60 hours at the day job and everything else, I don't always have time to go to board game nights, and I don't have as much time to play the games as I used to. Now, the community that we're doing on Discord is really helping, because there's a lot of tabletop simulator opportunities to play there. But I get real enjoyment out of cutting the shrink on a game, opening it up, smelling that ink that is all the non-American allowed vapors. The EPA doesn't have anything to do with these Chinese games, and punching it out and organizing it and enjoying it. I get real enjoyment from that. So, is that an enjoyment worth $60 on some of these bigger games? Probably not, but that's why we're collectors, right? So, I'm not even trying to fool myself into thinking resale value here is why I collect. It's just because it's something that I enjoy doing. It's something I enjoy acquiring. And I'll never, I saw us in the Twitch stream here a little bit ago, Digital Carnage was saying that he has 25 games and growing. And as tempting as it may be to measure my worth based on the number of games that I have, I really am strongly against that, because you have 25 games that you may play and enjoy and be all about. I happen to be middle-aged with a different disposable income position than you. And what does that make me any better than you? So I do see some old grognards that I have 1,000 games, and that means I'm smarter than you. And I would argue with that every time.
Yeah, that's the gatekeeping that happens, I think, with all hobbies. And it's obnoxious and annoying, but at least in my opinion, and I agree with you there, Matt. I do want to pop us to our next question, or at least where I wanted to take us next, with growing your collection. So where do you find the games that you want to buy next, right? So are you a Kickstarter person, or do you do the reviews and previews from YouTube or podcasts? Is it again, someone, a couple of your game group folks are also big board gamers, and so they make a suggestion? Is it at the cons where you play these play tested games, then you're committed from square one? So where do you find the inspiration for your games? And let's start with Gil.
Well, I do a lot of Kickstarters, but I do a lot of small. I'm not like the big miniature guy Kickstarters, but I do a lot of Kickstarters. Probably not as much as Matt, but I do a lot. But the bulk of my game, my friend owns online retail board game. They're right there, Game Surplus. Woo! So yeah, so he goes, I get messages. He's like, we just got this today. He's like on my shoulder.
He's like your dealer, right?
to the point he has my credit card.
Danger, Will Robinson.
Yeah, so, and he has this, maybe I shouldn't say that online, but he has this specific location on his house where the games are hosted, that there's a little, you just go and he puts in the box and you go and grab it.
Little Gil shelf, yeah.
Nice.
He has a little gaming area on the top there too. So, even on Sunday you're gaming and he says, oh, it's open. If you guys walk down there, just let me know what you picked up later on. So unfortunately, it's so awesome and easy that you think, oh yeah, sure. Yeah. And when you get the bill later on, it's not as fun. But
right. That's where the shell shock comes in.
But mostly I try to support him. His price is awesome, so I would, even if he wasn't the cheapest place around, but it so happens he has an amazing price, so I always buy him because I want to support him. Because unfortunately for him, there's this idea that every online retail is bad. And he's this small guy, he and his wife running this small business. and he does it online. So yeah, so I like to support him. It's not like I consider him my local friendly store.
Wait,
Yeah.
Matt, you run Game Surplus?
No.
Carmen.
This is his shirt. He sent it to me. His shirt. This is Carmen sent me the shirt.
Carmen.
Oh, okay, I see.
And he will be at Origin, so I don't know if you guys are gonna be there. But yeah, that's where I get most of my game. There you go, Carmen. Discount next time.
Yeah, they run.
Right,
They run a
there's
good store.
Yeah.
Your free publicity to our 7 viewers.
Not only will Gil spend $1,000 there this month, but he'll also plug him on air. That's awesome.
My wife may watch this. Let's not talk too loud.
Yeah, I'm not even talking about buying games with my wife next door, watching my kids, so it's fine.
But I do a lot of buying of opportunity too. Sometimes I'm somewhere and I see a game and look at that. So unfortunately, I'm that kind of shopper, which is not very healthy, but that's some of the ways I shop for games.
Right.
Well, I think I can kind of relate to that, Gil, because for me, I don't have like one spot. I'm not like, I go to my FLGS and then get a game, or I go to Amazon or cool stuff. There's not just like one spot that I go. But one place that I consistently buy games from is at conventions. And the prices at conventions are almost always higher than what they will be online or at even at a friendly local game store, just because you're at the con. But for me, I think there's something different about buying a game at a convention versus from a store, is that when you're at a convention, you are kind of experiencing the community, and you're in the midst of a bunch of different gamers, and there's all this like stuff going on, and it's really an experience. And so for me, when I buy a game from a convention, it acts as kind of like a tangible representation of that whole experience. So I have a lot of games on my shelf where I've got them from conventions, like Clank in Space. I got it from my very first like big convention that I went to. I went to PAX West here in Seattle, and that I got that because another Twitch streamer, Late Night Tabletop, Spencer Scott, who's a friend of mine, he was like, "Oh, go! There's like 20 copies left, and they're gonna get sold out." So I ran over and then grabbed a copy real quick, and that game is kind of special because of what it represents, not only because of the game itself. So I totally can understand why you'd buy games at cons, and I think that's something that is kind of different, than just buying from a store.
Right. Well, and I went to C2E2 just a couple of months ago, and they had they're a little more generic, right? They're not a board game con per se, but being able to have a store there, right, and just talk to the folks, it was nice because I felt like, yes, and I'm a local shopper, right? I'm typically a mom and pop store buyer. I don't do a lot of. I know I can get them cheaper online, but I like to support our local game store. But the con, it was nice too, because I really got to have a conversation with a hobbyist, right? I had got to have a conversation with someone who's like, okay, so tell me about what you like in games. And so I was talking through like, well, I want some games for some friends that I can play with them. They're kind of in the gateway stage. They're co-op, big on co-ops, and they were making suggestions of things I've heard of, but also things I hadn't. And so it was great to not only feel like, I learned something new and I got to hear something new, but I also got an opportunity to really feel and connect with someone in the hobby. And so I think that's it for me. I buy games because, again, very similar to Christian, because of the experiential piece of it. And maybe it's because of the con, or being there and being present, but I've also bought games because, a bunch of us sit down at a table and someone brought out a game and it's just like, oh, this is really. And I'm like, yeah, it's so cool. I need to have it. And so I have several games on my shelf because, our local gaming group, someone bought it, and I didn't want to just play it, the every third Sunday when, we get together and that person chooses to bring it. So I'm big into.
I think that's why we also like the hobby so much, and like why we collect too, because games, like if you put these in. Whoa, hello?
Yep. We still hear you.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll just keep talking. Everything is frozen on my end, but
oh no.
If you can hear me, then that's cool. So I was gonna say though, like the physical. I think the reason why we like games is because they're so physical, right? They're literally just there's these tangible bits and stuff, and it's not so much if you broke that down and put it into a digital form. there's that debate, right? Is it the same as a tabletop form? And for me, it's not. Like it's still fun, and I still play digital games all the time, or like digital tabletop implementations all the time. But I think there's something very different about opening up like the box, like taking the bits out, and then being in like a shared communal space for like an hour or two, just hanging out with people, and just that whole experience, right? The tactile aspect of it, and that's what makes it so special. And that's also why I think we collect, because there's something satisfying about this, right? Just
yeah, for sure.
Totally.
Christian, can you hear us still?
Yes, everything is back to normal now.
That's what I wanted to make sure.
I will
Matt,
say,
do you have anything to throw in there?
I do. I will say, and this goes out to all publishers and all whatevers, but I have bought maybe 10 or 15 games that are on my shelf behind me, only because, well, for the main reason that I got a promo card in a Secret Cabal Kickstarter at some point, and so it's like, wow, I don't really need this game, but oh my gosh, look, I have a special mini expansion of it. I need to go get it now. So that works. If I'm your target audience for that, it's working.
That's so funny.
Although Interact, right? If you're the kind of publisher or spokesperson that interact with the people that are shopping for your product, that's such a big difference. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's where we talk about cons. What Christian was saying about the interaction and learning it. So I have bought a lot of games that I've bought after I've learned to play them, and cons are just all of that. You can just go from booth to booth and try this and try that. A game that I didn't know existed, because there are just so many in front of you, Valeria Card Kingdoms. And we played on another Twitch channel with Overboard Games, I don't know, 3-4 months ago. And it's a game, it's easy to play. I knew my kids would like it. I played it on TTS, and I ended up buying it with all the expansions. So, I mean, I discover a lot of things that way. Back to your question about buying them, I probably, like everyone else on this panel, I buy some online. I buy some from the FLGS. I buy some from cons. I buy a lot from Kickstarter.
Yeah, I will say, back to your point, Matt, I think you allude well to this, and I think we've said this. Gil, Matt, and I have said this ways. The table, again, I'm with Christian, right? The physical board game, being in place with people, is why I do this hobby. But I think that the tabletop simulator, this digital format, is a great way to create access, and also for me to try out a game before I buy it. And I've bought games because, and again, I think Matt mentioned that with Valeria Card Kingdoms, like I've bought games because they pop up on TTS, we play them for the stream, or someone says, oh, like I played with Griff and Jin just the other day, who Jin's in chat. I don't know if Griff's in chat yet, but played Villagers, and I'm definitely gonna hop on that bandwagon because of being able to play it in that space. And so I definitely think that it gives me an opportunity to play test and make sure I like it before I kind of commit. But I definitely have been persuaded because I've gotten that opportunity to play it. So it feels very similar to like how Matt mentioned at cons, getting to play a game and then going, oh, cool. Yeah, I want that.
I have issues because I go worse than that. That's this game, The Mind, that everybody's freaking talking about. And I don't even know if the game is good. I just gotta have it.
Right. Yeah. That is true. I've seen it everywhere, and I'm just like, hey, well, like everyone else likes it. Board Game Girl has already talked about it a couple of times.
And it got to the point that we were in a group the other day. Said, yeah, it's only $15. When $15 became only, right? And that's how in the board game we think.
Yeah.
Right. Well, when your hobby, you spend $80 on a single unit. Yeah, 15 does kind of look like nothing. I will switch us now because we kind of spent half of our stream talking about growing the collection, right? And again, chat, we are reading your comments. You all are kind of bouncing back and forth right now, but feel free to throw things out to us, questions for any of the folks on the stream here. Any kind of, if we mention a question and you're like, yeah, I want to chime in on it, please feel free to do so. But I'm going to move to the maintenance piece. And Christian, in prep for this show, I always try to do some research. I try to talk to folks about stuff they've come out with. And you had a great video the other day that was just like, 5 things to know about maintaining your games. And it was both informative
We lost
and
you.
just hilarious.
Thank you.
Right. So
Not everyone thought it was hilarious though. So some people
Really?
are like, some people are like, oh, well, I mean, I get if it's like not your type of humor or whatever, so that's fine. But some people thought I was being serious, and they're like, you really put sunscreen on your games? I'm like, yes, I really put sunscreen on my games.
You should too.
Right. I recommend SPF 30 though, because the
Get a good
45 is just
yeah.
producers trying to get more money out of it.
You're an animal.
Inside of the box too. Yeah.
SPF 30, come on.
Yeah.
Well, again,
hour.
45 is just sunscreen companies wanting you to spend the extra $13 for something that doesn't matter.
Hey, you gotta pay the premium for your games, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you put 30 on your kid or do you put 120 on your kid? Tell me that.
Right now, I think we're sitting at about 45 to 60. So,
yeah, all right.
Nice.
So it is worth it in some cases.
Whether it's, it is or not, I still do it. So
Yeah.
Kitsume Kaij. Oh my gosh, I can't even read that. Kaijime.
Kit, we call him
is
Kit.
like Kit. Okay. Oh, is he a regular? Oh, she.
Yeah,
yeah.
he's joined our Discord not too long ago, and he's been playing games with us for.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but Kit, 100 is where it's
Crazy.
at. I don't.
All right, that's just overkill, man. Come on. Come on.
Does that come out in liquid form? Is that just a rub-on paste at that point?
I think it's titanium, just liquid titanium at that point.
One thing I want to know, because that's I think is the biggest argument about keeping games is, do you sleeve your cards?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You can't. Oh gosh. It's hard for me to play games that are not this. So like,
even if it's not yours.
Oh no! If it's not mine, it's a free. Right? Come on.
Let's get rid of
But for my game.
I'm losing Christian here.
Yeah, a little bit. But for my games, and then he didn't want to go on record with what he was saying, I think.
I think he can hear us.
Yeah, he can hear us, but we're not hearing him. So
Yeah. To take Christian's point off, yeah, he can hear us. We'll Christian, hold on to that, and we'll take over. I'm going to be the unpopular opinion here. I think send help, SOS, send us some SOS, some smoke signals, Christian. I'm going to be the unpopular one. I'm not a big card sleever. I think that it's just I don't know. I get annoyed with it. It's obnoxious, and I think for me that having some of the there's character in having a game that's well played, right? The game that I love, like I'm being called a monster in chat. It's fine, but it's. I think the biggest thing for me is that the game has character. It feels used and loved. And when I have a game that I've played 45,000 times, like I want people to know that it's a game that I've really enjoyed. So I think for me, I'm okay with not having some sleeves. Now, granted, I'm not going to judge someone who does. I'm all about, like, if you want to put all your games card, your Dominion cards and sleeves, like, we'll do it, and I'll help you do it. And I get it. There's a risk to not doing it, right? Like the people who we talked about game nights a couple of weeks ago, and folks were like, well, you have food in an event, right? Well, if you spill something on them or someone's got Cheeto hands, right? Like that's going to mess up your cards, and that's going to really leave some bad taste in some people's mouth. But yeah, I'm not a card sleever. Not at all.
I will add to that. On deck builders, I like sleeves for the mere sake of you're shuffling your cards all the time, and sleeved cards are easier to shuffle. I think just doing a mash shuffle with a sleeved card it takes just a few minutes. So I like that. If you want to sleeve Dominion, I have all but one version of Dominion. I mean, you're talking $300 for sleeves.
I'm half and a half. We're playing Heavy Hitters yesterday, and after one game, I said, that's a game I have to sleeve the cards. I think for me is more like how much handling the cards get. And as you can see, we're not the neatest people ever. So I I don't know. I don't sleeve every game, but I sleeve a good chunk of them. And I actually found sleeves for the Center Spice Road, and that's a game I'm going to sleeve because it's just just handling the card. And then there's people that sits in there, and while they're thinking, I watch their fingers going like this on the card, and you don't want to say anything, Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, and I will say sometimes, Chris Walters, have you opened up and looked at your Machikoro Bright Lights Big City game yet?
Not yet.
All right. I opened that up and immediately thought I'm going to need to sleeve this one just because the component quality in that is a little less than we're used to. It's not a linen finish.
I remember you saying that.
It doesn't look like there's a lamination or a finish on the printing at all. And I just thought, boy, 2 times through the game, and I'm going to have things chipping off of this. So I sleeve just as a precaution.
Christian's back.
Yeah.
Woo. All right.
We stalled. It's time for you to drop your wisdom bomb on us.
We learned that you hate to sleeve cards, so we're past that.
Okay. So I didn't. Keeping in mind that I didn't hear what any of you guys said about that one particular comment. What I was gonna say was anyone who doesn't sleeve their cards should be deported from the United States of America. But like you guys all sleeve your cards, so it's not a big deal, right?
Yeah. Well. One of the things I saw in your video, one of the things I saw in your video, Christian, was you use those really heavy-duty sleeves. Like at least in the one video that you talked about sleeving. You can't possibly use that on all the games. I mean, the deck of cards would be like.
No, I don't actually use those sleeves.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was a joke that it went right on over here.
Yeah, when I do sarcasm, it is very subtle. And so sometimes it's very obvious if I'm like over the top, but I know there's been a lot of times where, like that one, where some people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you use those Ultra Pro top loaders. And actually this has become a problem at work too, because I just naturally, almost after everything I say, I add like a sarcastic comment, and my boss, she doesn't pick up on my sarcasm very well. So there's been a lot of times where I'll say something and like, oh yeah, I totally did that. And she'll be like, okay, great. And I'm like, oh wait, I didn't actually end up doing that.
I didn't do that.
But about sleeving, back to what we were talking about. The problem with not sleeving for me is not that, like, I don't care if a box is, has been crushed or it's getting worn out or components are getting frayed and stuff. But with cards, because they're handled so frequently, what I notice is that they get sticky, and like I just don't like that feeling, because like I don't know, it just doesn't feel nice when cards are sticky. So that's the only thing. And with sleeves, you can take them off and re-sleeve them if you want. So
it's good to have a good quality too, because
yes,
a lot of people complain about sleeving not stacked and hard to shuffle. It's because they buy that very thin Mayday thing. If you buy a good quality sleeve, they actually stack nicely. There's also some that are for bigger decks. There's like a matte finish in some of them that will stop them from sliding. So it depends on how big your deck is too.
Right. Well, my deck it's huge.
What? Hey.
But it's PG-13, right?
Yeah. So let's go down this road as we're talking about sleeves. Dominion this is an insert from Dominion, right? I have 10 or so of the expansions to this. And this is just their standard plastic insert. And if you don't get just the right sleeve, you can't put the cards back in that insert.
Right. I was going to say that.
So by sleeving, you either have to, I bought some Califrac sleeves from, China or somewhere that came international mail, because these were smaller and thinner and they would fit back in it. They didn't. I still had to take this out and do something else. So when you make the commitment to do that, a lot of times you have to do something different when you're storing your games. I know a lot of people that have all their Dominion cards in one box. I kind of like the visual appeal of all the different colors and stuff on the shelf, so I haven't done that yet. But what are your guys' feelings on some of that kind of stuff? I know, Gil, like the first thing you do is take the insert and throw it out, right? And Ziploc bag stuff.
If it's not a well done insert, why would I struggle with it?
I'm with Gil.
Either an insert for me is like this. There's no middle way. Either works or doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, some of the inserts I don't even call inserts.
Right. They're just like fancy packaging.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like
styrofoam bubbles that make
well,
your
sometimes I actually prefer the crappy inserts. Like in Concordia, they have like it's just like a I don't know. It's like the channel, kind of like the
yeah.
Fantasy Flight ones. Like sometimes I prefer that because then I can like kind of customize that how I want. And yeah. But
I
yeah,
have
inserts
about
are
10 insert projects started and never.
Yeah.
That's the other problem with you. Like, this is scrappy. I'll make my own, and then you cut a little piece of foam, and then I'll come back to that.
it takes
3
a
days
lot
later.
of time. Yeah. Holy cow.
Yeah, but you talk about a game, Gloomhaven. It's $120 on it. Then there's a $60 insert. Then you're going to sleeve the whatever. I mean, you could drop another $200 into a $120 game. I guess when you have 300 games, you don't consider that as an option. But if you want all those things for your games,
at least the games you play often, right? You know, the ones
which is none of them. So
right. So then you never buy organizers.
Yeah.
The problem is I started all my games vertically, and not every insert is good for that. And I want to bag stuff. I either dollar stores or any stores that have those little containers, Michael's, you go. So I use a lot of those as well,
right?
Yeah,
because then it's also set up like you sit at the table. Here's your stuff. Here's your stuff. Here's my stuff.
Yeah,
let's play.
Yeah, same here. I have like in my closet, I have like a stack of Planos and like those dollar store little Tupperware containers. And it's just like, it's like stock. I have sleeves. And so whenever I get a game, I'm like, okay, I need this. I need
right.
this.
Just get off your little closet shelf. Yeah, I'm a baggy person. And I'm actually a horror games box store. And I think if I take the insert out, which I typically do, all I do is just set that board board right on the bottom, and then I put all of my baggies right on top. And I'm just like Gil, in the fact that I want each player to essentially be like, you want the blue color? Perfect. Here's every piece you're going to need right now. And then here, is green, and here's red, and here's yellow. And then, I'm trying to think with my Game of Thrones game, I've got every house has its own, and then, cards that go in certain spots, like they're not rubber band, but they're stored in a way that they don't kind of bend and fracture the cards too much. But just being able to have all that stuff, kind of the setup and the organization is what sometimes takes you 20 minutes to get a game started. So anything I can do to speed that up always makes me happy.
I played Star Wars Rebellion for the first time yesterday, and that game took like a solid 40 minutes. Because it was like first time. It was like 40 minutes of like setup and what are we doing, and it was ridiculous. It was a good game though. It was fun.
Yeah, for sure. Anyone else on? We kind of talked a little bit. Gil and I have mentioned vertical. Christian or Matt, do you all have an opinion one way or another? I mean, I see you have storage behind you.
Well, I do want to kind of go to something here and get Christian's opinion on it, because it was actually something that he has said in one of his last videos, and that was about packing down the boxes. Packing things full. I love the notion, but I mean, how you just cut a bunch of cardboard up and kind of fill things in so it all holds it in place.
Yeah, so I mean, it depends on the game, right? But generally speaking, I will have because sometimes what you can do is you can take like the punch boards and put them underneath the insert, right? Yeah. So that'll kind of elevate it, but a lot of times that's still not enough to make it flush against the cover, and so there'll be like a maybe half-inch gap from the top of the insert to the box cover top or whatever, and like you'll get components kind of spilling over or baggies spilling over and different things like that, and so or cards which is the worst thing that can happen. So I have like, if you get games shipped to you, then you have cardboard, right? So I just save all that, cut it out, and then kind of fit it into wherever little holes and things that need to be filled. And I'll even put them in like deck boxes sometimes, like with those like tiny mini European cards types. I'll put them into like a full-size deck box and then like just pack it down with foam or cardboard or something so that those cards don't even shift around.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work though, so I don't do it with all my games, but there's some games, if I have the time, then I'll do it.
So you have like your five essential things you have to have, for storage, for
like supplies.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like sleeves, it's Planos, it's those dollar store Tupperware, and it's just cardboard.
Yeah. Do you have a laminator?
I guess that's 4. Do I have a what?
Laminator.
I don't know what that is.
A
laminator.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
No, I do not have a Do people laminate their games?
Well, one thing that I hate is that sometimes a company puts like 300 cards on a game, and is not capable to do one, player's aid. So I print player's aid and then I laminated them. That's why I laminated.
Yeah, I have done that before, but I have not actually done anything with like my actual game components. But I don't have a laminator. I just buy like the man. I hate that like I actually have lamination sheets in my closet, but I have like the non-heat applying ones, like they're just adhesive. So I do have that in my closet as well. I'm not proud to say that,
but like making up your own player aid is like next level stuff, Gil. I mean, that's like, this game is a lot of fun, but it needs to be a little bit better.
No, but you think about, there are games that has like 6 different stages, and then you have little things happen. And sometimes, during the downtime, the gamer can just look through you and they can foresee what they need to do next instead of being asking 100 times on that first stage.
The worst is when they only include one player aid.
Yes.
It's like, you know what I mean? Or it's like on the back of the rule book or something. And you're just like, man, this is annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me show you something that I do for the vertically stored games, and I'm not really sold on this yet, but I bought a roll for $20 of acid-free brown paper, and then I used my chop saw to cut it into 2.5-inch little rolls here. Right? Ooh. Sounds like a lot of work so far. And then then I tape them into not Mobius strips but regular strips of loops, and then I slide them around the box of the game. Right. Huh. So that, because I like the vertical storage, the appearance, you can get one off, you're not crushing the boxes, but I would take one out and then the back of another game would fall out, and 45 houses from Monopoly or whatever are laying on the shelf. So I didn't know, I mean, how do you guys kind of handle that if you're not doing something like this to secure the box lid to the box? Is it like a Raiders of the Lost Ark thing where you got to take the game out and put something in there to hold everything in place?
I don't have that.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about that, but that's a good point.
Because even if that game next to it only shifts 1/4 inch, then all the cards that were in there have just slid to the side to the bottom, and then I don't know.
That's because I don't have bags.
I don't have bags.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't have as much of that problem because I've got bags for all of the pieces, and then your piece reminded me. I use the acid-free dollar bill wrappers for my decks of cards. Because you can buy a bunch of those super cheap.
And they have that self-adhesive on the end, right?
Right. And so it's just like, big old stack of cards, and you can cross them if you want so that they won't shift in any direction. Yes, you got to run through them, but let's be honest, they're super.
But meanwhile, at the bank that you're getting them from, they think you're a drug dealer. Why does this guy need all these dollar bills?
It's always like single, dollar denomination, right? It's not like I'm.
Maybe they think you're a stripper then. I don't know.
Well, I don't think too many people look at me. That just made me think of the SNL Chris Farley Chippendale.
Oh yeah.
That's perfect.
Right. So that I got you there. If you all need a mental image of what this looks like, Chris Farley Chippendale's SNL. There you go.
Classic stuff.
Anyways,
someone else want to save me the embarrassment of?
No, go to the next question. I had something else I wanted to.
Let's see. So this is, I think, a good one. How do you organize expansions? We talked a little bit. Matt mentioned with Dominion, right? Do you combine everything? Do you? I'm going to take this one to start. I think it depends on the game, and it depends on how many expansions and things that I have. So some games, I think Settlers is a great example of this for me. If you've got a 4 to 5 player extension, and the expansions don't necessarily add a lot. Like Cities and Nights is not really a lot of extra stuff. So my Cities and Nights, and I almost exclusively play Cities and Nights with my Settlers game. So those two are combined, but all of my other expansions for Settlers are separate because they have more pieces, right? You got Seafarers and some of these others that have, the ability to make your map change. So they have more sea tiles, more land tiles, all the things. So I think that's one thing for me. The flip side is a game like Dominion. There are so many expansions to try and combine all of those. I think is difficult. I don't sleeve my cards, so I actually like the player inserts because I think they do work for me a little bit. But to try and cram all of those cards into one box, at that point you're lifting like 1,000 pounds, and you know I might be looking big, but I'm not necessarily strong, right? So I don't really want a game that's going to ruin my box, and then I got to find a way to carry, 7 trillion cards. So it goes back and forth to me. It depends on, does the game have a lot of Clank? I think is a perfect example. I'm not going to be able to throw 3 game boards into a box. I play. What's the fire? Now I can't think of the firefighter game.
Flashpoint.
Yeah. Each expansion has a new board, right? And you're not going to do that, right? Now I have considered keeping the boxes as like my display shelf, but then also, for some of those that we kind of, when I play with my friend group, we play a lot of Flashpoint, being able to put maybe all of that in a different box, right? Like a Stow and Go type box, so that it's not in the original packaging. I still have the original packaging, but it's I can transport everything in one like toolbox size box versus trying to carry 17 boxes and 32 bags. So that's I don't know. That's where I go with it.
I have seen some people who do cool things. You take the expansion, Raiders of the North Sea, put those components in the core box, and then take the cover of the box and hang it on the wall, like as, for lack of a better art, and a couple of thumbtacks into the wall, and you can just hang the box lid right on there, and you've got some 3-dimensional art. I love that as a concept. Right now, if I were to do that, I would basically just have 9 copies of Dominion. Now my wall is art, but still, no, I don't know.
I mean, that's something cool, right? Like instead of just having an empty box on your shelf, like I do, it's making something decorative out of it, and it's not like you're tampering with the box in a way where you can't reuse it.
Yeah, but why would you put suntan lotion on a box, even for the funny video part? I mean, was that like an expansion, or was that a throwaway, or was that Spencer's game maybe?
That you're putting me on the spot there. That was actually Colossal Games' new Kickstarter, which I did a small, like, kind of a smooth slow motion B-roll segment thing for it. They sent me a prototype of their game Imperious, and that was the. Then I just destroyed it. Well, it was the only like prototype box that I had in my house, because I don't do reviews and previews and stuff. So I was like, I'm not gonna ruin the real game. So it's like, well, Imperious, you're gonna have to pay the price.
But if
you're a worthy sacrifice.
You probably wiped it right off, right? You probably.
Of course, yeah. I didn't stop and finish the video and then 2 hours later go and wipe it off. No, of course not. Yeah.
The box is in mint condition still. It's perfect.
And it smells like coconut oil. So.
It does, yeah. And actually, that's just the natural odor that my body exudes. So actually,
yeah, that's good.
See, for me, it's like I grab all the components and throw in the air, and then I grab the box. Whatever makes into the box, that's it. It's in the floor. It's out of the game.
That would have been great. That would have been better if you didn't knock your mic out.
Knocking my mic all the way.
All of a sudden, I had to go, okay, what did he just say?
That's a great gag to run back on video later on. So yeah.
I think it depends on how much I play that expansion. If it's that game, I'm gonna play with the expansion always. I'm not going back to the original game. I'll try to fit everything in the box. But if it's a game that I might play the expansion, might not, then I'll keep it separate. That's also the fact, like, I want to say something. If you're publishing a game and an expansion comes out 6 months later, you knew that expansion is coming out. Make a freaking box that you can fit that expansion in, because you knew that was coming out.
I'm looking at you, Renegade, or whatever. I don't know.
That's funny. No, that's so true, though. I think we should start a movement.
I will say that I have one of those drum kit bags to take games to things. So I will squeeze games in there together just for, hey, I'm going to somebody's house and I can't take just 10. I need to take 15. Right. So I'll squeeze games in together in the same box just because I can. This is a deep sea adventure. I played this for the first time at PAX, actually with Carmen. I don't know if Carmen brought it or somebody bought it, but it's just a tiny little box. It's fantastic. Do I want this banging around in the backseat of the car? No, I'm probably going to tuck it inside of another game box, to get it where it's going. So,
I like how you have all of these fantastic visual aids, and we're just sitting here talking.
It's called prep.
You are prepared.
Typically, we don't ever say that about Matt. So, Christian, I should have told you beforehand. Our stick is as much as possible.
Nice, love it.
And I'm going to go as far as to send us 200 bits saying we make fun of him.
Oh my gosh.
While I do that, so an interesting conversation point that I think we have is, are you a fan of buying used games? Do you have games that, I will say first, I've not bought a used game. I'm always a new game buyer. And so that's my thing. But asking you all, what is your shtick when it comes to used or pre-owned games?
I have to buy new or used game. If I buy a used game, it has to be like Punch but never played, or at most played one time. I'm very particular about that. I'd rather me do the breaking in than someone else.
Yeah, there's an auction. There's a game convention in Charlottesville, outside Charlottesville, Virginia, and it's called PresCon, and it happens every February. And on Saturday of this con, they have an auction, and people bring their games in and auction them off. And I have gone in there before and bought 30 games for $2 a piece. So I tend to buy games if I want I want to try it out. I want to check it out. I will admit to having bought a game for $2, liked it, have it at home, and bought a new copy of it because the components weren't in the condition that I wanted to be able to present to others. But sometimes you get games that are. This is Winner's Circle. This has been redone. This is a Knizia game. It's been redone a half dozen times. The box is in pretty bad shape. The cover's smashed in. The corners are banged away and smashed up. But it's a game that I will get to the table. I have gotten to the table and I like it. So I am as particular as Christian is, but I will make exceptions.
I prefer new, but I'm not as picky. I mean, the game needs to be in good condition, right?
Yeah.
I don't mind if it's been played a couple times. And I actually, as we mentioned before, I bought a bunch of games at the virtual flea market from Origins. And if the person's, as long as they say is in like new conditions, only played a couple times and stuff like that, I don't have a problem. And that's how I got some of my games that are out of print that I've been seeking forever, and that's the only way I'm going to get it. And Murphy's Law says as soon as I buy it for 50 to 100
it's going to be remade.
It's going to be reprinted, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not as particular, but I rather have them new. I'm not like other board games. I hate punching. That's why I have a 10-year-old. Punching time.
Here, just go punch.
Gabby, you want to go for ice cream this afternoon?
You punch 2 games and then we'll go.
Burn it.
That's
I will
awesome.
sleep cards, but I just don't have a thing for punching. Not my style. I like the whole drive me nuts when I try to open a pack of cards that you don't have
plastic.
a tool. Yeah. I mean,
right.
It never works.
No, never. I got a game that 2 decks came with the little slide off package.
Yeah.
And then 2 decks that didn't. And I'm like, how? You print a game, like,
right?
How far are those 2 companies? Did you make our cards in 2 places? So those, yes, I know. As I said, I have issues.
2 things you brought up there, Gil, that I really wanted to chat about. The first being, I didn't think about games that are out of print. And so, yeah, no, I mean, I'm going to try and, but if it's a game I really want to play and it's out of print, yeah, I mean, it's going to probably be used. But the other thing is, I think it's so funny how we talk about game maintenance, but I think one of the most frustrating things for me when it comes to game maintenance is when manufacturers package the game in a way that I almost have to damage it to play it. So I also hate popping out tiles and stuff because if they don't serrate the edges just right, then and I can be as careful as possible, but I have had games where they didn't serrate it all the way on the back side, and so to pop out that shit is just going to be something that like
you're gonna get that like tear, right?
Yeah. Right.
It's like the board game hangnail.
Right. Right. It's exactly what it is. Or again, I agree with the package wrapping, right? And so I almost have to I have to find something pointy and sharp to like open it up, but then I'm taking that near the face of these beautiful cards that I have. And so I get really frustrated with packaging sometimes too, where it's just like you gave me everything in something that I can't actually open or I can't open safely. And so I start the game off with damage to it. And so that's so frustrating for me. So yeah, I'm also not a board popper for sure.
I know, Chris.
It's important to say, just because we gave so much hate, that publishers are doing an amazing job generally with games.
True. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
Some of them make an effort at it for sure.
Right. I think there are folks who do understand and whether they do it intentionally or not. But
right. I haven't bought Splendor because you can't get the heavy tokens, right? And now they've changed the weight of their
right.
And honest to goodness, that's the only reason I haven't bought a gateway game yet, because I'm waiting to find an older copy because of the quality of the components.
Right.
That ought to tell them something, that it's not worth it, that extra 30 cents that they're driving out of the cost of their manufacturing. But I'm not their target for that,
Right.
But that game is so underrated. That's such an amazing, simple game. People should give more love to.
Yeah.
I really did not like Splendor, even though my profile picture is of me like dressing up as a Splendor guy.
Right. That's what I was about to ask.
Yeah. But it's grown on me. Like, it's one of those games that I didn't like because it felt kind of dry and a little bit mathematical and tactical, and not I didn't feel like there were interesting decisions in that game. But the more I've played it, I realized I was reading too much into it. And it's just a really nice, like, you just sit down and for 20 minutes, you get a nice small engine builder, and it's fun. Yeah. So anyways, I like Splendor now.
Before we moved too far past the new and used game components, that same game auction that I talk about, I go almost every year, and real sad story. One of the guys died, and his wife was selling off his game collection, and she brought a bunch of these things to the auction, and there was a fund kind of thing. So everybody was buying his games a little bit higher price to help the family out, and all the games came up. And they would hold the game up, and the game had shrink on the top. This guy when he would cut the shrink, he cut the bottom, all four sides, and leave the shrink on the sides and top. And that was how he maintained his. Yeah, so he's one level further neurosis than even Chris.
That is crazy.
Wow. I don't know if I could do that.
I've never respected someone more than I do.
All of a sudden you start seeing Christian try to like one up that.
And then we wonder why people refer to board game snobs and
right.
You can buy shrink wrappers. I'm just going to re-shrink my game after every play. Oh, that would help hold them together when you put the shell vertically.
You get a vacuum freezer bags that you just like
keep moisture out. Yeah.
Right. We're just thinking of how to keep our collection mint condition, right?
Yeah. That's right. Mint condition.
Okay, so we're just past our hour. I want to give us a chance to do some last minute thoughts. So Matt or Gil, do you have anything you want to say before I pull your plugs and don't let you talk anymore?
Thoughts? I never had one. Never had one of those.
What are those?
As he about to start in a monologue that takes 17 minutes.
17 minutes, yeah. No, I'm not a speaker with my game. I'm more like the side of the let's play kind of guy. But at the same time, I think as long as there's a median, we should never be radical on anything, right? We should be, and that should be true for board games too. Because I've seen people that are so crazy about their board games that they're not enjoying anymore. But there's the other side too. You know, we talk about the story about the guy who freaking ordered chicken wings twice on my games, and so
that's messed up. That's just wrong.
So my thoughts are just do what is comfortable to you. I guess it's the hobbies for you, you're doing for your enjoyment. If you enjoy spending endless hours laminating, shrink wrapping, sleeving, good for you. I like to play games.
I will come in here and say that this is my hobby, and we're hanging out because this share. If I go to someone's house and they know I'm the gamer and they like, man, I can't believe you're here. This is so much fun. And they break out Monopoly. I'm going to play it and enjoy it because that's, you know what I mean? This is what they enjoy, and I want to enjoy it with them. If their copy of Dominion is all chewed up because the dog has, been after it and everything else, that's their stuff. I will show them the respect that they want me to show them for their games. In the same sense, if you come to my house and you eat chicken wings while we're trying to play Dominion, you're going to experience defenestration. I'll respect you if you respect me.
Right.
So
that's funny because Matt and I've been talking about how I'm getting to PAX U here or PAX Unplugged here in a little bit, and one of the things we mentioned is meeting up at his house and doing a table crashers from his house. So I would run it there, and I think it's funny because now I just want to buy chicken wings and just take them with me everywhere.
Well, more so, I'm going to check your luggage when we leave and pat you down for small games that you might have
for small games, small all the things.
Make sure you're not stealing things.
Right, Christian, do you have any thoughts?
I have a question for the audience. And this is something that I think that it's the elephant in the room. It's what we've all been wondering. And that is, if there was a fight, like a battle royale, which one of us would win and why? So I'm just going to throw that out there. Let the chat do its thing. And while I'll give you guys some time, I
feel like we should all get a quick second to defend ourselves.
That's fair.
Christian, do you want to start?
Well, I'm definitely the smallest of the bunch here. I don't know. I could be 6'3" and absolutely massive, but I'm not. But I'm the smallest. But the advantage that I have is that. Oh dear Lord, this is hard.
Yeah, you don't have an advantage. Is that what we're
right? I was just saying.
Yeah, I know.
You don't have one.
Or you trying to find a sensitive and easy way of saying it.
The advantage that I have is that I have an acute sense of smell.
Okay.
I have X-ray vision, and I'm Superman.
Okay.
Wow, that is. I mean, the glasses I couldn't tell.
Right, I know.
I'm right on it.
I didn't want to make the announcement here, but you guys kind of forced my hand. So.
Well, we're the first to air it, so that's
yeah.
This is going to be huge for this Twitch stream.
Oh man, it's blowing up.
This is where we start getting all of our followers.
We went from 7 to 8 viewers right there. That was
It is crazy. Yeah.
Matt.
Well, there wouldn't be a fight because I run as fast as any fat guy you've ever seen. So I am a flight. I'm not a fight. I'm a fight.
I don't know if you know this. I don't know a lot of fast fat guys. And being one of
you're just as weak as the slowest guy, right?
That's right. I don't have to be the fastest. I just have to be faster than one other person.
I don't have to escape the bear. I have to escape Matt.
Yeah.
Gil, do you have any thoughts?
No, I just want to say that I'm Superman Bizarro.
Oh no!
No.
Okay.
Oh my gosh!
You're like my kid. I'm like Superman Infinity.
I'm like every superhero combined.
The actual character, so
yeah.
Not making up a character.
I mean, Superman versus Deadpool. What goes on there, really?
Right. I mean, I'm 5'10" and 300 pounds, so I used to powerlift in college and still do some weights. So,
all right, Chris, no need to show off.
Yeah, right. But there's a whole lot.
Beard.
There's a whole lot of used tos in there.
Right.
So. Yeah, there you go.
Well, yeah, but like, used to still means I've got maybe an ounce of skill, right?
Yeah.
No, I've got this beard, and so it beats everyone just by sheer mesmerization. I've distracted you with my beauty, and then I just take you out. Right now, it looks like Christian and Matt have the really Gil. What Chad is saying is Gil and I will take each other out, and then Matt and Christian, one of them will. So
well, Matt will be running because that's what he said he does, and
I'll get an elbow in before I get out.
Right, just get a cheap shot in there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I'll just play possum.
Jen, I would be interested in spending my time on the weekends hitting other people's weapons, but I have a child and he doesn't allow for that. So, what is behind Chris's beard? Another fist. Yeah, it's like Chuck Norris. But okay. On that note, Christian, that was the best.
I was thinking more like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Like there's another head down here. So.
Right.
Yes.
Sorry. Well, I'm gonna wrap us up here. Thank you, Matt and Gil, of course. Christian, we loved having you on the show, so we really appreciate it. Make sure you follow Christian on all of the social medias. Watch his YouTube and the videos. Take your chits. That's the big thing there. We are gonna have for Table Crashers, Dan Letzring. Matt, do you want to talk a little bit about Dan and what Dan's doing?
Dan is the Let of Letterman Games, and he has got Neverland Rescue is a Kickstarter that's on right now, and that is a 2-player asymmetric little board game. I am a backer of that, and I reached out to him, and that is not on Tabletop Simulator, so we're going to interview him Wednesday night, talk about the game, and then we're going to play Groves, which is on Tabletopia, I believe. So,
and that was his previous Kickstarter.
Right? Yeah, and so we're going to hopefully beat him at his own game to keep our streak alive.
Right. Well, we have to embarrass all the people who generously donate their time and energy to help.
That's right.
Okay. Well, and I think we don't have a topic for the next Geek Spiel, or we do. I don't know what it is. So feel free. This is my call to engage you all and reach out to us on social media at the Geek Spiel and all the things. We'll take your suggestions for next week's topics on Geek Spiel on air. So feel free to send us your suggestions and your topics. You can also reach out to, again, Gil or myself and the other folks that are part of our shows and share your thoughts. So on behalf of myself, Matt, Gil, and Christian, we want to thank you all and have a really great night.
Peace.